Howdy, everybody. You like that camera work? I know it's basic. Give me some credit here. So, welcome back to another Space Engineers tutorial for the Automatons update. Um, press the right button getting out of the seat this time. Almost pressed the wrong button. Be proud of me. So, real quick, before we get into what we're gonna do today, you can see I've done some work. I have completed a little more of the shell, which, doesn't look terrible now. Looks like just a little outpost. Not bad. Kind of what I was going for anyway. Got my big bay window. Maybe. I don't know. But I also made a box in a box, I guess. Look, I'm no interior designer. I'm not even an outdoor... Exterior? Outdoor designer? I don't know what they're called. Landscapers. Architects. They're all good at making things look pretty. I'm not. I make things work. Like this thing. It now looks ugly because I thought it looked kind of funny doing this thing. Kind of reminded me of the little ball from Star Wars. I forget his name. I'm sure there's a picture of it up on screen. But the purpose of our little box in a box is one, I plan on putting a bedroom up there. So it's kind of cool, kind of private, whatever. And then inside the box in a box, I have 3 LCD screens showing the weather, showing the time, and then showing the energy and hydrogen we have on the base. The energy part is wrong. I promise. I have 3 batteries here. These 2 are now discharging. I can... There we go. Actually, no, they're still going to be fully recharged in 1 hour. So, that goes to tell you that the energy part doesn't work. When we actually get hydrogen tanks on the base, they may start working that way. The other reason is I need a spot for my little piloting chair here. Now what this is for, if I turn my HUD on, and you look at the left hand of the screen where the blue arrow is, that little dot that's blinking, my iron mine is throwing a signal that says needs repositioned. So basically what I'm doing there is what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to show you how to take this basic mining concept. This is good for pit mining. Or not pit mining, just strip mining an entire area. It's cool. You just let it move along. All you have to do is come back every now and then, reset some limits, and send it on its way again. We're going to take this idea, move it over to probably this silicon, magnesium, and ice down here, because it's closer, and it's actually not that far away to my parts and stuff, because it took me forever to do that, because I had to keep flying back and forth. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to set up a mining system over there, where you set it up. Every now and then, it'll throw a signal like this, and all we have to do is, if I get in my chair here, and I go into my control panel, I can hit remote access, I can find my iron mine, and I can go into the terminal and go into the custom turret controller for the drills that I have set up. And I will go ahead and take control of that, and now we can see I have my drills, and I am controlling it. Say hi. Well, I guess it would be more this way, right? But I can control the drills. And all I have to do is aim it at the next iron spot, which I guess will kind of go like that. Let's go up just a hair. That should work. Really should put a camera on the side so I can see where I'm going. But then all I have to do, oops, is go back into the remote access because I lost it. Is go to drills, turn those on and go to drill pistons and hit, yeah, because they're at -0. So if I put those at negative, oops, -0 point, we'll make it 0.2. We're not going to be able to see the pistons very easily because they're going to be going slow. But if we hit reverse, we can see they are starting to extend. And the drills they are using. So let's go back into our custom. Actually, no, I have an access camera. There it is. And we'll just view that. That way I'm not controlling the pistons or anything at all. You can somewhat see the pistons extending if you look close to where they are at the top of the first one. And they are actually going into the rock. If we look at the inventory, this is gonna give me the wrong one. Yeah, I can't see the inventory on this one because I'm not actually there. But I can tell you that there's actually stuff being drilled, which is cool. Now, that's showing still needs repositioned. I forgot to turn that part off. So to turn that off, all I'm gonna do is go to my piston start and do stop, piston end, and stop. Now, oops, if I get out, we should be good. So, to prepare to be able to make that, we're going to need a lot of parts. So you are still going to have to do quite a bit of mining before you ever even get to making it. I'm sorry, it's just how the world works. We have to... ow. Sorry. Trying to focus on flying and doing this. So we have to prepare for the stuff to be able to do this. It may be too many parts for you. You can always go with a simpler drill. You can always go with the tried and tested, you know, put a drill head on a piston, just let it extend, and then go back and move it later. All that fun stuff. But I don't feel like doing that. I'm sorry. So, let me get a bunch of steel plate and interior plate, because we're going to need both. See that? That should be enough. That should be enough to lay out what I want to do. Plus, we're only going right over here, so it's not terrible. So, the first problem we have is I have no light. The first problem we have is the ice is actually pretty far down. Now, what I'm going to do is kind of just bore out around it as best as I can. Because I want to get an idea of what direction the vein is going in. Alright. So, let me... Well, not let me. I have kind of finished out where we're going to be at. Now, we're going to be taking material away as we need to. Like I see, I'm not as straight behind this vein as I want to be. Because I want to be... I want to have enough clearance towards the center of it, so... But, let me show you the blocks we're going to need. We'll get them in our toolbar, and we'll be set. So, we are going to need armor blocks, so we can set our stuff down. Nothing in that one. We are going to need drills, though, obviously. We can worry about cockpits later. We are gonna need conveyors and conveyor junctions, or you can use pipes. Whatever you feel like using. Either one, doesn't matter. We're going to need timers, custom turret controllers, and event controllers. We're also going to need, if we go to our second toolbar here, I'll get rid of all this stuff. We are going to need a remote block. Nothing from industrial. We are going to need some power, so we'll go with wind turbines and a battery. Nothing really for production, unless you want to put like a survival kit over there, which isn't a bad idea, but we still don't have silver to make the one thing. I don't anyway. If you found a silver vein, by all means get that silver. Next thing we are gonna need. Actually, that might be it. What do we got? Oh, the antenna. The one thing I said we needed but didn't put back on the hopper. And we are gonna need some cargo. So we'll get that. We're gonna need a connector. I think that should be it. Maybe a sorter. Because we don't want all the stone. We'll just pick up the ice only. So I'll show you how to do that. And then we are going to need the two important things. Actually, three, because I didn't even put them down here. Armor block I'll take off of there. We'll put the piston down there. Got all that. I don't want the conveyors yet. So we'll do hinges. And rotors. We're gonna need an advanced rotor for this, FYI. Because we want the stuff to go through it. So, we got those. Let me get my armor block back. If I get rid of rotor. Like that. And I'll just put a helm on this. And then I will put our automation stuff over here. I like staying a little organized. So, if you can't tell. There we go. And then we'll add some decorative stuff over here too. We will want a camera. That's another thing. Maybe a couple of them. I want to use this top-mounted camera, see if it works any better. And then, just because I forgot them on the other one, some lights. Cool. Awesome. Love it. If you followed along with that, cool. If not, I'll be placing them one by one anyway, so by all means. So, what I want to do is try to line this block up with that ore vein. I don't have to because we have the hinges and pistons, but the more lining up I do now, the easier it becomes later. So, what I'm gonna do is just place that kind of like that. That should be okay. Even if it veers off to the left a little bit later, we'll be good. All this block is for is to help us get our other stuff in place. So, what I want to do is go to number 3, and I am going to dig out a bunch more of this behind that block. I don't have to go below it anymore, but I need room for a piston, couple pistons to go. And hopefully tall enough I don't bump my head on something. There we go. Cool. So, first thing I'm gonna place down is my rotor, because it is gonna go kind of like that. Do I want it there? One thing I'm trying to take into consideration is the angle of this, so I might want it back here. That way we can kind of reach as much of that ice as possible. As you can see how big these blocks are now that I'm holding them out in the area. And it looks like we're going to want some more space. So, let's just try to get a little more space. You can never go wrong with just adding a few extra blocks and just laying it out. Because you're using one plate every time you do this. So, it's not that expensive to just lay out what you want. Okay. So I think that should be good, because if we stand here, our hinge is going to go this way, which means our pistons are going that way. So I think that's a pretty good angle. So we want to make some room. Now, one thing we have to look at is we're probably going to need even more room than that. I'll show you. Real quick, on these hinges, you see the white line right there? If I turn my light off, it's the illuminated one. That is the negative side of the hinge. So, just FYI. Positive side has the dot, negative has the line. So, doesn't matter in this case which way we put it, but helps a little bit. Just for future reference. So, if I bump this that way. Come on. Am I even turning you? No. Okay. Love that. So, we're going to need power first. Awesome. Okay, that's fair. So, let me go ahead and get this set up. So, I can already tell you, I'm going to want more room than I already have. Because if I hold a piston out, and it would be similar to this, I can't even put a second piston down. So, I don't want to take the ice out just to put it down. So, I think I'm going to clear a little bit back anyway. But that's the basic idea. Go ahead, get everything set up as far as those four things. You may need to run some blocks outside just to get a wind turbine on while you're welding those. Just so you can move that hinge 90 degrees and be able to look at it. Okay? Okay. I will see you here in a few minutes. Alright. So, this should be the last drill. Now, first thing, the little tunnel we made, don't do that. Do it if it's the easiest way to get out of your mine, by all means. But with mine, what ended up being, because I had to go so far back with the drills, or the pistons, it ended up being like a 45-degree turn backwards. So I would have had to use hinges and all that kind of stuff. Do the easiest way to get to the top. For me, it was just stacking a bunch of conveyors. Um, and put a armor block on top of that, ran the armor blocks up a little ways, and put a wind turbine on top of that. But I'll show you the outside here in a minute, because that's where we're going next. But you should have a setup similar to this. Direction of the rotor does not matter. And back in whatever side the piston's attached to on the hinge does not matter. As long as you have... I put 2 pistons on just to save face. Just gives me a little extra extension. I also put 3 drills on. You can always just start with 1, dig out a little more, add a second one, work your way up to it. One thing we are going to have to do, though, is drill this side out a little bit. Just so those drills have somewhere to be clear, and we don't bump our pistons on the side of it. Because what we can do later down the road is... Oops, wrong one. 5. Just put a drill that way. If we clear enough, we can put a drill sideways, and that'll kind of help clear the side as we go along, as well as pick up any ice that might be there, but mainly it's just to keep the drills clear. That way we're not confined to this little alleyway. So, what we're going to do next is we have our drills set up. They're connected to the pistons, so our conveyor network's good there. The hinge has a conveyor network. We're using an advanced rotor, so you can see the little yellow edge there. Has its own inventory and everything. Well, it's not going to hold anything, but it passes it through. And then that just goes into a conveyor. And then we run those conveyors all the way up. And if we go out, we can see I have a little platform out here. So our conveyor network goes to here. This is where I stopped. And then I ran armor all the way up. That's where my wind turbine is. It can be temporary, it can be permanent. Really doesn't matter. What we're gonna need, though, is somewhere for the ice to go. So we want... Let's see. We bring out our conveyors. And I do have to go get more materials. I'll be right back. I used the last of it on the drill. So now that we have some parts, let's go ahead and run some conveyor tube that way. And I'm going to bring mine out to here. And then I'm going to connect a large cargo to it. I think this time I'll use the industrial. Just to see what it's like. I do make sure you have one port facing upwards, though. So the industrial cargo containers only have ports on the 4 sides, if you remember from the first episode. Or second, I believe. So if you're using it, make sure one of those ports is facing upwards. We're going to need that for later. So there's that done. Next thing, I don't know about you, but I don't want all of the stone that's going to be coming out of this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I think put one right there. That might work. Now I can grab my sorter. Place it there. Get a connector. And we're going to place 3 connectors. So we're going to place one here. we're going to place one on the side like that. And we're also going to place one on top. Cool? Beautiful. I love it. Next thing we're going to need. At least a couple batteries. Just so we can always have some kind of charge. And be able to charge this place up too. It's not going to use much energy, but it's going to be enough to where you want probably 5 wind turbines in general. And possibly more depending on how many drills you have and all of that. So add the power as you need it, just like on your home base. Next thing we're going to need is, what is it at? The antenna. These are what's going to help us communicate with our chair over there. So to do remote access in Space Engineers, whatever you're trying to remote into needs an antenna. Makes sense. I would think so too. So we're going to place that one there. For the special signals that we get from our drills, we're going to need 2 more. So these 2 antennas, I'm just going to drop in a random spot out of the way. One there. And we'll make it kind of look somewhat cool, I guess. Like that. So these are our 2 signals, or our, I guess you can call them the alarms that we're going to get. One's for pistons are fully extended. One is for the inventory is full. Right? Because if the inventory is full, we want to be sure those drills are stopped and not running, so they're not just putting a hole in the ground without collecting anything. Next thing we're going to need, we will grab our remote control. This is what's actually going to allow us to connect to the base and be able to do what we need to do. So you need the antenna and remote control to get remote access to any grid that you build. These 2 are what you need. Everything else is kind of what you're going to use while remote controlled in. And of course it needs power. Next, we're going to start our automaton stuff. So, we're going to lay down one custom turret controller. This is actually what we're going to take control of when we remote access into the base. That's what's going to control our drills and our pistons. Next, we are going to need 2, I believe, event controllers. Let me just double check my memory, make sure I am correct. I have 3. I don't remember what the third one is. I might have... oops, wrong button. I may have forgotten what the third one is. But I believe we only need 2. Because they're gonna control the alarms and what to do. And then we need our 4 timer blocks. And we will put them the right way around. Cool? Alright. The only other thing I would say is kind of give yourself a little bit of an access down to not the business end of the drills, hopefully. But you want to be able to come down here and actually get control of this thing if you have to, just to do some troubleshooting in the future or something like that. So what I'll usually do is I'll place a couple blocks, kind of like that, and I will add... Oh yeah, I got rid of it. I'll take the helm because you're not having to look through a window while trying to use it. So I'll just add it kind of like that. And then this way, while I'm controlling whatever I'm controlling, I can see going back and forth. Now, the other thing you have to make sure you have is a camera. I went ahead and put that little one, the top-mounted camera, right on top of this drill. So hopefully we'll be able to see exactly what the drill sees and be able to control it a little more precisely. Because like that other one, I didn't know exactly what angle I was at and all that kind of stuff. Not a fun time. The only other thing I'm gonna do though, if I can press the right button, is add some lights. So I'm just gonna go ahead and probably add some corner lights, I think. Yeah. Because interior lights are nice. They actually do give out a really good radius when you max them up and stuff like that. And this way, because if I shut my lights off down here, it gets very dark. If we were to remote access into that camera, I wouldn't be seeing any. So, we want some lights. And I gotta clear that out because apparently voxels don't like it. What bar am I on? The wrong one. That's why. Clear this out. Make sure we have nothing in the way that the game doesn't like. What's in the way that you don't like? Any construction components is the biggest problem. Okay, I'll be right back. Copy all but name. Paste. Hey, we got some light now. Love it, like it, beautiful. Alright, so go ahead, get the rest of that stuff welded up. That way we can move on to the cool stuff of actually setting this up.
Energy critical.
Get this last one welded up, and we should be set. There we go. Now, before we do anything, we do need to add a second or a third event controller. I did go check really quick while I was getting materials, and that third one is used. So we do need 3 event controllers in total and 4 timer blocks. And then I have to put the remote block back that I forgot about. I'm kind of a dunce. And of course I don't have all the parts. I need to refill hydrogen anyway. Can I make it with 27%? Of course I can. It's only right here, so we're good. Beautiful. Deposit parts I have. Take out the ones I need. Plus a little extra of that just in case. Oh, almost flew right over it. Alright, get this finished up. So you'll see I did move a couple things. One, I wanted to be sure of a little more power on the base. So I wanted to add some wind turbines. But I also wanted to start making it look a little decent. You can see they're not spinning as fast as they probably could be, especially these ones in the back. One, they're right up against the hill, not very far off the ground, so they're kind of doing little. Um, but I may have to reposition those a little bit. We'll see. I also wanted to move the antennas because it just looks better in the front like that. Plus, I wanted to prove a point here in a minute with them. But everything's welded up. Let's get to setting this up. So, first thing we're going to do is set up our timer blocks. Pretty easy. To set up the timer blocks, we need to set up the antennas. So, even with build vision on, I can do this. But I want to show you console players because we've been doing it with build vision, kind of being lazy about it. I want to show you guys in here doing everything through console how to do this stuff. So you see we have 4, 6, and 7. Antennas, doesn't matter which one is which. We just want one for pistons, and this one is gonna say actually I can tell you exactly what it's gonna say because my iron mine is saying it again. Needs repositioned. You can make this whatever you want it to be. This just tells me the pistons are fully extended, so they just need moved over. The drill needs moved. Next one is going to be cargo. And this one is just going to say cargo full. And our last one, antenna ice. And this one is just going to say ice mine. Now we have our timer blocks. Our first and second one are going to be for our pistons. But we're going to do pistons or just piston start. And piston stop. Or end is what I usually do. It really doesn't matter. Our next one, same thing. It's just going to be for cargo. Sorry, my brain's a little slow at the moment. So, with these, what we're going to do, the pistons antenna, we're going to turn off. Cargo antenna, turn that off. Ice antenna, the one that says ice mine, we're going to leave on. That's the one we want to be able to see on our GPS. Piston start, we're going to have the delay on both of these be about 5 seconds. Okay? Setup actions, we are going to take our piston antenna and we are going to toggle it on. Next thing we're going to do is go to our piston end timer block and we're going to do start. Okay? Piston end, about 5 seconds. Setup actions, we're going to go to pistons and turn off. This is how we get that flickering. Next, we're going to go to our piston start timer block and do start. So, now we should have just our ice mine antenna. If I go to piston start and hit our start button. Should take about 5 seconds. There it goes. And turns off. Turns back on. And turns off. Cool. So, okay. So it's actually these bottom two that did it. I didn't even see which one was which at first. But we're gonna hit stop when that one's doing its countdown. Or whichever one we get into. When it starts counting down, if you hit stop, it just stops the process. Now we want to go up and make sure our antenna is still off. Cool. So I did hit the right one by coincidence. Just make sure your piston and cargo antennas are turned off. And then these are stopped. They can be left on though. And then for our cargo, we're going to do the exact same thing, just with the cargo antenna. So turn on the antenna. I didn't specify which one was start and stop with this one. So we'll just do start and end. And I don't remember which one I was on. Here we go. So I'm on the start one. If you're on the start timer block, you want to choose the end. And just hit start. Don't hit trigger now. We want to start that timer. Because we want that to run for the full 5 seconds. Because with timer blocks, everything on these toolbars gets done at the exact same time. Or as close to exact as it can be. I mean, it's code. It does do all that kind of fun stuff. But anyway, everything gets done when the timer block starts. Or gets triggered. And it gets triggered at the end of this delay. Right? So when this hits 0, then it does the actions. So we want that timer to run for the 5 seconds so the antenna can stay on. Or well, on the end, we want to... It's hard to explain. My brain's kind of backwards at the moment. Cargo turn off. And then cargo start. Start. So, if we do cargo start that one. 2, 1. Should be on. You can hear the beeping in the back, and that's actually the programmable blocks counting down on their timer. Each one of those beeps is the second. And at the end of their timer, it goes to the next timer block. But it also does the action for the antenna that we set it up to. So on the cargo start timer block, it's going to turn the antenna on and trigger the 5-second countdown for the end timer block, and vice versa. So we know that one's working, and it should be our top 2. Good. So I'm just going to go into here, and then when I see this green start to flash, or I see the countdown over here, I'm just going to hit stop. That stops the timer right where it's at. Actually, no, it completely resets the timer. If I go to hit start, it will start counting down again. So, you cannot stop in the middle of a countdown and continue that countdown later. Doesn't work that way. It resets that countdown every time you stop it. So, good for our case, bad if you want to get a little more technical with stuff. Next thing we're going to do is the fun part. We're going to go to our event controllers. So, let's see, which one do we want to be which? This top one, we will make piston extended. Right? So this is when the pistons are fully extended the drills aren't picking up anything anymore. Or they're picking up very little, I should say. So we're going to go cargo filled. We're going to change to piston position equal to or greater than, I say, about 97, 98 roundabout. Well, that's just about 99, but whatever. Our pistons are going to be moving at the same speed, continuous. So we're going to just add both of them, just in case one gets stuck and the other one's extending. It will still add that. Next thing we're going to do, we don't want to click that. I was just scrolling down and accidentally clicked. Is select actions. So, what our event controller is doing is on these bottom two buttons down here. The left one is when that condition that we just set is met. So think of it as a sentence, right? If the piston's position is equal to or greater than 99%, and it's looking at these two pistons, it's going to do the first one. If it is not those, it's going to do the second one until that first condition is met, where it can do the first one. That's how event controllers are working. So we're not going to use this second slot, the one in the middle right next to the hand. We're only going to use the first because we only want it to do anything when those pistons are fully extended. So when the pistons are fully extended, we want it to start. Where's our piston start? We want it to start the timer on the piston start, right? So that's going to start the cycle of the antenna because those timer blocks are on. If we go to toolbar 2, we can do our pistons, which let's go ahead and group real quick. So we'll just call these drill pistons. And we'll save that. Don't hide these yet. We still need to mess with them a little bit. We want to do the same thing with the drills. This is just going to be drills. I was going to put mine drills, but that's kind of self-explanatory. Cool. Advanced rotor, we only have one rotor, so we don't need to do anything. Same thing with the hinge. Those can stay the same name, whatever. Never did weld up the helm. Probably should do that. So, drills are currently off. Cool. So, let's make sure we get back into the same timer block we were in. And the only easiest way to do that is just to exit control panel and just go back into this event controller. Not timer block, I'm sorry. So, we go back to our actions. We've already set up the piston start. Next, we want to go to groups, and we want to choose our pistons. And we want to reverse these, right? Go to toolbar 3, hit our drills, and turn them off. So, let's look at our sentence, see if it makes sense. If, it always starts with if, the piston's position is equal to or greater than, in this case, 99%. These are the pistons in question. It's going to, well, let me start over. If the piston's position is equal to or greater than 99%, then start the piston start timer block, reverse the pistons, and turn off the drills. As long as that makes sense, you're usually in the right ballpark. So this one should be all set up. Next, we're going to our second event controller, which is going to be looking at our cargo. Now this one is going to do very similar actions. It's not going to be a complicated thing where we're doing 6 different things at once or anything like that. We're going to leave it as cargo filled, equal to or greater than, I'm going to say 95%. Well, 96, whatever. We're going to look at our large industrial container, right? Because that's what we're trying to see. As for the actions, we're going to start the cargo start timer block. We're going to reverse the drills. And then, oops, hold on. Not reverse drills, or not reverse pistons, brain. We're going to turn them off. That way they stay where they are, but they go back on, right? This one, if it is not met that the cargo container is full, we are going to turn them on. So we are using the second one on here. Drills, we're going to turn off. And then we're going to turn on. So, let's go ahead and check our sentence, right? If the cargo is filled to equal or greater than 96%, we're going to start the cargo start timer block. We're going to turn off our pistons. And we're going to turn off our drills. Makes sense. If it is not filled to 96%, we're not going to do anything with the timer blocks. We make sure that the pistons are turned on. And we make sure that the drills are turned on. Make sense? I think so. Cool. I like it. Now our next one. Don't move from there. Actually, what am I doing? I can do this. Our next timer block. But I keep saying timer block. I really do apologize. My brain is like scrambles at the moment. Our next event controller, and the last one, is just going to be mine. This one is going to be kind of a fallback to that event controller we just did. So, space engineers, I don't always trust. I like plan Bs on everything, even in real life anyway. So, we're going to set this one up to ensure that our drills and our pistons are turned on if the cargo is not filled. Okay? So, this one will be simpler than the last one. If the cargo is filled, equal to or less than 5%, give or take, with the large cargo container. We are going to start our pistons, or turn them on, basically making sure that they are on, right? Not gonna do anything else with them. Or actually, let's go ahead and make them extend. That will guarantee that they're moving in the positive direction. And then with the drills, we're just gonna make sure they're turned on. Okay? Works? Perfect. I like it. We're gonna turn this block off real quick. Just so our drills and pistons down there don't start at the moment. Not that it would be a bad thing, just we're not ready for that yet. So, this one should be all set up. We should be good to go. And we'll leave that off for now. But that's pretty much the mine part of it. Let's make it remote controlled. Custom turret controller. I'm just gonna name it Ice Mine. Just so I can just type in ice up here and find it easily. We're not gonna do anything with the display. Not gonna do anything with content. Our azimuth rotor is gonna be our advanced rotor. Elevation rotor is gonna be the hinge. Basically, we're using the rotor, even though technically... Actually, no, I do have that backwards. I apologize. The azimuth rotor is going to be our hinge. That's what's going left to right. Azimuth always means left to right. Elevation, up and down, is going to be our advanced rotor. Because remember, we have our rotor on its side, and our hinge is able to go side to side. I'll show you when we go down there. Our assigned camera is just going to be that top-mounted camera. We're going to leave all of our stuff good. We're going to select our 3 drills, just in case we want to use the drills manually while we are in there. And then everything else, we're just going to leave the same. We are going to turn off all of this, though. That way it doesn't try spinning on us. It doesn't try going anywhere. And we're also going to take off enable target locking. Just in case. AI control is off on this, but we don't need it. That's for when you make custom turrets, and we'll be doing that later in the series. That's for more defensive and going up against AI and stuff like that. Right now, we're just using it ourselves and doing what we want to do with it. Okay? That's pretty much it, though. I mean, actions, we don't need to do anything because the actions are for when it actually locks onto its target. So, since it's not doing a target, we're not doing anything with it. So if I go to control on this, up and down works. Pretty sure I just broke it. So that's why we left everything as it is. So what we can do,
Energy low.
we're gonna turn this multiplier down. We're gonna go about 2, I'd say. And we're gonna do that for both of them. Because 9 apparently is a little rough. By the sounds of it. Let's turn our lights on. And it threw me out of the camera, so I'm guessing, yeah. Camera got all busted. But that's easy to fix. Drills take a lot to actually damage. That's not bad. Our rotor is good. So, we're all set. I just got to, oh, it did break one of the lights, though. Okay, so maybe we need to clear some of this out still. Just a little bit so our lights don't get demolished when we go turning those drills. I thought we had enough clearance, but obviously we do not. How badly were you damaged? Enough. So, just to save face and to save us a little time, I'm just going to put this stuff back. Because I know you guys actually want to get to seeing all of this and how it works, but I kind of want to be able to see you while I'm doing it too. So, you win some, you lose some. And then I should still have the settings. Yes, cool. And that one should be right, just in case. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So camera's fixed. And that stuff's good now. And we should have a little bit slower. I'm going to finish this while I'm here too. We should have a little bit slower of a turn with that now. So, should be okay.
Energy critical.
A little bit easier to control when it's going slower. Probably should make a way up here too while I'm at it, but we'll do that later. Alright, let's try this again. Control. That's much easier. Alright. Left and right is backwards, so my hinge is probably the wrong way. But you can see I can turn the drills on and off. And they are actually going. But now I can actually aim backwards, sadly. So I'm going to come down. And I'm going to go that way. Basically right where it was.
Energy critical.
I need to go get some energy. But we are done. That helm down there is mainly just for controlling the stuff as we need it. Set that up how you will. I have mine set up basically for other stuff. Oh, no, we are not done. Never mind. Our pistons. Maximum distance is 10, but we want their speed to only be 0.02. And even that might be a little fast, because you have to think, this speed is multiplied by however many pistons you have. So I set it to 0.02, but we're actually going 0.04. Those drills will be. Okay? So we'll take it to 0.02. We want to make sure our drills are turned on. And that should be all we have to do with them. Let me make sure. We're going to go ahead and share inertia tensor on that and the hinge as well. Just so we can leave it where it's at. What was that? I don't want to know. Sounds like something broken. I don't care. But no, that should, now we should be good. Our connectors, we will do real quick. We only need the one though. So this one. So in our connector, we go to the control panel. And we're just going to change this from connector to ejector. That's it. Just so we know which one we're looking at later. Now we can go into any of these other control panels. We're going to look for our sorter. It's here somewhere, right? Didn't I put the sorter on? Am I losing my brain? No, it's right there. Um, I think I'm losing it, people. I might have finally gone off the deep end. Oh, it's called Conveyors, or I'm just blind. That's all. But we're gonna put this to whitelist, and then we are just gonna look for stone. As long as I know how to spell stone correctly, because I seem to be having an issue with that. And then we're just gonna hit Drano. And that's gonna be it. And then we go to our ejector that we just did, which is E for ejector. And we're just gonna turn on throw out. And there we go. Let all them little, well, not little, those things are giant, but they're just all gonna roll down the hill. Like a little conga line of rocks. I like it. The only thing I'm looking for is to make sure it's not throwing out any ice. Sometimes it has a tendency to do weird things like that, especially on ships. So, but it looks like we're good. If we go into our inventory, we can see our large cargo is filling up with ice, and it will take a minute. So, I'm actually going to take some for myself. Just to have back at the house. I guess 10 is all I can carry. But now we just gotta see where our pistons are. What's your position? Max is 9.8. Where are you at? Current position, 6 meters. Why you only at 6 meters? Oh, because you're still going. Okay, that's fair. Like it? Love it? I do. See if I can make it home in 22%. Of course I can.
Fuel low.
Go ahead, empty my pockets. Fill up on hydrogen. Could have refilled my bottle while I was at it, but no. Alright, so now we are back at the base. We have our mine set up. Let's remote into it. So, you need to have a seat on your home base, right? You also need an antenna. So to remote into another place, whether it be a ship or a base, a mine, whatever it happens to be, you need the remote control block and an antenna on that thing you're trying to remote into. But you also need an antenna and a seat on your own base, wherever you're trying to remote from. So, we're going to sit in our seat. We're going to make sure our little icon down in the bottom left is showing as broadcasting, the one with the O above it. So we can turn that off. Well, by now I'm turning the bases on and off, but you get the idea. We're going to go into our control panel, remote access, static grid, since that's one we just added. Go to terminal. We can see everything on that base. What I'm going to do while I'm here is go to info, change this static grid to ice mine, and hit OK. Now, if I were to try to remote access, I can see the ice mine and I can see the iron mine. Sounds cool. For some reason, the iron mine keeps going in and out. I don't know why that might be. But now that we're in here, we can go custom turret controller, control, Now I'm gonna hold on the drills while I'm doing this, but I can see we're really not picking up any more ice from this hole, but I'm just gonna let it keep going. The only thing you're gonna watch is make sure when you get out of the turret controller that your drills are turned back on, because it does turn them off when you get out of the controller. So because they're considered a tool, like a ship on your like on your little mining ship that we made, it's considered a tool. So it turns off when you're not holding the thing, the button for it. But that's pretty much it for that. Now what we want to do is turn this into a little drone that goes and gets their own stuff. But I think that's going to be the next episode. And that's going to be the fun part, because once we get that set up, you will have basically everything you need to have automated mining. So I think it'll be pretty cool.